shaking up the neighborhood. By the way, I got guys working in my house right now who probably don't know who I am or what's going on. We've been doing work in they're probably like, what the hell? This guy just came in. It's allegedly his house, and now he's screaming in the basement. What is happening? But here we are. It's a Bull and Fox edition of the Bullpen, brought to you, of course, as you see, by Bet Rivers. Dustin, what's going on?
Not too much, man. I'm not sure if you can notice, but I am wearing a Buckeyes hat because we haven't talked Buckeyes since the Buckeyes got a natty.
That's true. Did I just scare somebody, by the way, behind you? You were like looking over to the side. Was there somebody else there?
No, I was just looking to see if my backdrop, the window behind me was a little bright. No, all good.
Lot to get to. You know what? I didn't even mention the Buckeyes in the rundown. So let's start there for a couple minutes before we get to the Browns.
That's why I mentioned it, because I know you
bad
sort of
job
forgot.
Out of me. Yeah, it's Thursday. It feels like it's old news already, but we haven't done the show since then. But are you excited?
I am excited. I'm happy for Buckeye Nation. I'm happy for the team and for Coach Day and for everybody that has supported this team. They've got a hell of a squad, and I was at the first title they won in the playoff back in 2014. Did not go to this one, but it was an all-time great run. To be able to beat Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and then Notre Dame. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it'll change in the future as we got more of these playoffs, but to date, nobody has put together a better stretch run of beating that many great blue bloods in a row than what the Buckeyes just did. So I say kudos to them, and we got another one.
That's right. That's number 8. Is it 8?
Believe it's 8.
I think it's 8, right?
Look behind you. Don't you have a national championship thing up on your wall, or no?
Do I?
No, it's just that. No, it's just Ohio State. I thought you had all the natties.
I can't remember now. Maybe it's 9. I think it's either 8 or 9. I don't know. We should know that offhand. I mean, but it's 9, right? Because they won.
They had 8 going into it.
Okay.
Yep.
And
so 9.
Yeah, and to your point about the best run, obviously nobody has had an opportunity to make a run like this because there's been no playoff where you played 4 opponents potentially, which they did. But I think as much as most of the games were not competitive in this postseason, I still love the playoffs because now, like, in some ways, it's easier than ever to win a championship because it's easier to get in the championship bracket. But in some ways, it's harder because you can't just win 1 or maybe 2 games. Now you have to win 3, maybe 4. And in Ohio State's case, it was 4 because they were not a top 4 seed.
Right. I mean, look, listen, it's going to change, I think, as years go on, and somebody's going to put together a run where they beat Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, and Texas. I mean, it's going to be great teams every year. It's going to be an impressive run, and the winner of the tournament is going to feel like they earned it.
Yeah.
As I feel like there's nobody in the country that can look at Ohio State and say, I think that Alabama would have got them. No, nobody's saying that this year, which is great, and that's why we have the playoff, is to eliminate all doubt about who the best team in the nation is, and that currently is Ohio State.
Right, because if you couldn't make the top 12, then nobody wants to hear your case.
And no one's going to say, like, oh, man, South Carolina should have got in with, it's like, dude, come on.
Right. And what's funny is I've seen random people on Twitter who are not Buckeyes fans, and the Buckeyes are easy to hate. When you're a dominant program, when you're going to be hated. You just got to deal with it as a fan, and it's a badge of honor. The Yankees are hated. The Lakers are hated. The Dodgers, the Cowboys. All those teams, well, outside of the Cowboys in recent years, all those teams have been great, successful franchises. And so it's good to be hated, and the Buckeyes are hated, so people are going to say what they want. But when I see some people go, they didn't even win their conference. Well, there's going to be a lot of national champions in the next bunch of years that may not win their conference. That's irrelevant now. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, it probably behooved them to not have to play an extra game.
Right.
You know what I mean? They still got in and got themselves in position to win a national championship. Now, they didn't do that on purpose, obviously.
Sure.
You would love to go undefeated, as we did in 2002. 14-0. It's going to be tough, though. I do think that going forward, it's going to be very difficult for teams to go undefeated because the conferences have gotten so much better. And it's not like you're just going to go through a season and basically have one tough game at the end of the year, like Ohio State plays Michigan. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be a lot more, like we had this year. I mean, it was September, I think, right? Or early October when Ohio State played Oregon. May have been October.
No, I think it was September. I think you're right.
Either way,
Yeah.
it was early in the season is the point. It's not
Yeah.
like end of the year where you've got some of these great matchups. It's like
Right.
it's really fun to see. I like where we're at with college football. I hope we can sort of rein in the NIL and portal stuff. But overall, I think the product for what we saw in the college football playoff after the first round was great.
Yeah.
Was really, really great. We can maybe change the dates on some of these games and when they're
and
played.
The seeding.
But
The seeding's got to be fixed.
Yeah. Listen, nothing's going to be perfect the first go round in
Right.
something that is a dramatic change for the sport. They're going to tweak it. It'll get better. And listen, in a decade from now, we'll look back at this and it'll probably be perfect at some point. It's close to it now.
Yeah.
I mean, 12 teams is great. I wouldn't mind seeing 16, to be honest with you.
I like 12 better because I like but if the top 4 seeds lose all the time, then eventually they're going to go to 16, so nobody has a bye. But
the FCS does it with 24 teams, and the first 8 teams get buys.
Yeah, that's true. I think at Division III, I can't remember what it's not. I think it might be 32.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it might even be 64. But I don't think it's quite that many, but I think it might be 32. But to your point of playing tough games early in the year, Ohio State opens against Texas next year. I mean, how good a game is that going to be? On paper, at least.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait to get Arch Manning early because I don't want to. I'd rather have him week 1 than have him week 6.
Man, the hype on him is going to be crazy next season.
My God, so much pressure.
I'm sure he's between with both of his uncles, he's been trained for the pressure.
That's been his life, right? Yeah. I mean, if your last name is Manning and you play quarterback and you're really good and you're the number one, like you've been through this probably since the second you stepped on the football field when you were in 5th grade.
No doubt about it. All right, let's switch gears. Today, Tommy Rees held his first press conference as the offensive coordinator of the Browns. And before he even took to the mic, Kevin Stefanski announced that Kevin, would return to call plays, at least initially, for the Browns. Remember last year when they hired Ken Dorsey, I don't know if you remember this, Dustin, but they wouldn't say who was going to call plays for months and months. And I don't even think they announced until into training camp, not even the beginning of training camp, if I remember correctly. This time, totally different. The first Tommy Rees press conference, the question is answered before he even takes the mic. What do you make of all that, if anything?
Well, it's not surprising, right? I mean, I think it's the right thing, and I think everyone sort of knows what this hire is, why they made it. We sort of know that the hiring of Ken Dorsey was a mistake, and it probably wasn't, Kevin Stefanski's hire and all these things. And now they're trying to get back to where they were, prior to last year, where Kevin Stefanski can call these plays, where he can get his offense back to where it once was when we had Baker Mayfield, and hopefully they can get back on the winning track. And you're probably gonna have to do that with a rookie quarterback. So I like all this stuff that they're doing. I like Tommy Rees as a coach. I think he's a really young up and comer. Spent a lot of time in college. I remember watching him play at Notre Dame, and obviously, since I do college games now, I have interaction with a lot of people, and he's a name that has been popping up for the last couple of years. So it's nice to see him here in Cleveland. I hope Cleveland doesn't ruin him because he's a great coach.
It's funny. I'm thinking about, obviously, I know you and I think the Browns are going to draft a quarterback at 2, and that's probably the right move. It's a weird situation because at least on the outside, it feels like the Browns or that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry are on the hot seat going into next year. Whether that's actually true within the organization, who knows? But it feels that way, that's a reasonable assumption. And that's a tricky spot when you're drafting a rookie quarterback because in a perfect world, whether it's Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward or whoever they drafted to a quarterback, in a perfect world, that guy would sit, at least for part of the season, if not the whole rookie year. On the other hand, if you're Kevin Stefanski and you think your job's on the line, well, you're like, I can't sit this guy. So I wonder how they're going to handle that.
Yeah, it's a tricky spot. We were talking about this yesterday on UCSS, in terms of what they do in terms of the draft. Will they play a rookie court? All these things are in play. I think that the Browns are pretty much up against it, man. They've got to show signs of life next year, signs of progress from where they are, before this season, because everyone thought they were going to be really good this year. And obviously we know what happened. well, they're going to have to start over quarterback. And if they play that kid, whoever it may be, if that guy shows some sort of promise, it's probably going to save their jobs.
Right.
Now, if he doesn't and the team stinks and they win 3 games again, then they're probably blowing everybody out. And unfortunately for the young quarterback, he's going to be in a tough spot because he's going to have to learn a new offense and have new terminology and new people in the building and all these things that we've seen every quarterback have to deal with in Cleveland over the last 20 years. Yeah. So I'm really hopeful that they can turn this around. I hope they draft the right player. I do think they're going to take a quarterback at 2. I'd be very surprised. I think you agree with me on that, don't you, Adam? Yeah. I'm not sure exactly if you're 100% on that, but okay, cool. So yeah, they're going to get a player at 2. They're going to have the pick of most likely the best or the second best quarterback in the draft, and then away we go. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's the route they're going to take. When we were able to get a word in edgewise, we were trying to talk about it yesterday.
Dude, I know. I mean, I love you, Jay Crawford, buddy. But I mean, shoot, I should have just took a knee.
Yeah. But it's the point that, and I thought you made a good point when you say, maybe it's not the name that's getting talked about in mock drafts, but it's impossible to believe that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, and I'll put them together as a team because I think they work hand in hand. There's got to be a guy, at least one quarterback in this draft that they think is the next top 10 quarterback, whatever. And they got to draft that guy. It's that simple. Travis Hunter may be a great player. All these other guys, you got nothing until you get the quarterback. And hopefully there's that guy, and hopefully they get it right.
And honestly, Adam, I mean, this may sound a little crazy, but if their guy is the 38th best prospect overall, and nobody's really talking about him going in the first round, you got to go. You got to do whatever it takes to get that guy.
Doesn't matter.
You have the second pick. You'd be like, well, it's a little high. It's kind of a reach. It's not a reach if it's the guy that you have to have. Like, it doesn't matter how high you take him. There's no overdrafting when you get the player that you want.
The only time we ever use the term overdraft is on draft day when nothing's been determined and it's unfair to use that. Or if the guy ends up being a bust, then you say, well, they overdrafted him. We've never said that. When a guy is allegedly overdrafted on draft day and people use that term and the guy becomes a great quarterback, we never hear that term ever again for that guy. You can't overdraft a guy if he pans out, especially at that position. You want to tell me you can't draft a kicker in the first round because even if he's, which is you and I would say is insane. I'm not drafting a kicker, even if he's the greatest kicker in the history of football. I can't draft a kicker in the first round, a punter, whatever. But with quarterback, you can never say that if the guy is successful, ever.
I got to say this. If I've done one thing in life that's been good other than raise 2 awesome kids, it's that I've instilled in you the thought process about kickers.
Well, all right, I'll give you credit. I don't know if it came just from you, but I'll give you credit. You have been on this for a long time. I mean, let's face it.
Well, I'm taking credit for it. I'm taking credit for it because most times you give me the credit. So I'm just going to say that I'm the reason, because we've talked about this since the Browns have drafted like 16 kickers.
I know.
For no reason.
And even
it's insane.
And again, no offense to your boy. I know Mike Nugent's your boy. He should not. Jets drafted him like what, second round, third round?
Second round. He was overdrafted, and he was a great kicker for a long time.
Yeah.
I only think that, like, if there is a generational talent, like a guy that you're like, this guy is a robot. He can't miss from 75 yards. Like, okay, that's different. There hasn't been one of those.
No. Justin Tucker's
and there maybe there never will be. And by the way, Justin Tucker has now come back to earth.
He has, but he's been the best kicker for a long time until this year, and I don't think he was drafted.
He was not.
Yeah. So it's crazy. But anyway, I mean, it feels like they're going to draft a quarterback. It does seem like, based on the press conference today, that Tommy Rees and Kevin Stefanski are of the same mind. Tommy Rees was using all these like nerdy SAT words, and I'm like, he's a Kevin Stefanski guy. So, I think there's more of a connection between Kevin Stefanski and Tommy Rees than there was certainly between Kevin Stefanski and Ken Dorsey. There was zero connection there. And so the Browns made the right move.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out, because it could be a one and done for Stefanski and Barry. And if that happens, God, that would be the worst case. That'd be the worst.
No. On the other hand,
the worst.
If they get the quarterback right, and even if they're not great next year, because, we all know what happened with Jaden Daniels, fine, but that's not a likely scenario that you get a guy that takes you deep into the playoffs as a rookie. But let's even say that by the end, let's say they finish next year 7-10, and things look really good with the rookie quarterback you drafted. They didn't make the playoffs. They're under 500. But as the year went on, the rookie quarterback, you're like, okay, I'm excited. Well, they're not firing anybody then. And if that happens, if they get it right at quarterback, Stefanski and Berry will be here decade plus if they get it right at quarterback. It could go from them being gone in October to them being here for 10 more years if they get this quarterback right. That's how big it is.
I totally agree. It'll be a long time. Like if whoever we draft it to could do, and maybe it's a high bar because he played really well this year, but like what Bo Nix did with Denver was sensational. But remember, Adam, go back to September. Like he wasn't great in September.
No.
The team was struggling. They were barely scoring any points on offense.
Yeah.
And they didn't put a lot on his plate. So I give Sean Payton a lot of credit for how they managed him. And then they sort of ramped things up as he got more comfortable and familiar with the playbook throughout the season.
You're right.
So that could happen with the Browns.
Even if you look at Jaden Daniels, there was a stretch of a few games in the middle of the season where like his play was good early, and then he kind of dipped for a few weeks, and he was struggling a little bit, 3-4 weeks, and then he bounced back, and sky's the limit now. I mean, he's shot straight up like a, by the way, speaking of which, to the conversation we started with Ohio State, you didn't win your division or your conference. If Washington beats Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game Sunday, I don't think there's going to be anybody saying, okay, the Commanders got to the Super Bowl, but they didn't win their division, right? Like that's not happening. Nobody cares about that. And by the way, that leads me to one other point. Both college football and the NFL need to change their seeding. Winning a division or a conference should not guarantee you a top seed. It should only, in my opinion, guarantee you a spot in the tournament. That's it.
Couldn't agree more.
Right?
It doesn't matter. There should be, like, you shouldn't be hosting a playoff game when you have a worse record than a team that is, you shouldn't be hosting a better team is my point, just because you won your division. Like it's just that to me is a joke.
Well, Minnesota, who hosted Minnesota? Who beat and they beat them.
Well, Minnesota they played the Rams.
Right. And they had 4 more wins than the Rams?
Yeah, the Rams were didn't they have 10 or 11 wins? And the Vikings had 14.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. There was one year where there was an under 500 team hosting a game.
Here was the year. It was 2010 or 11, and it was the Saints had to go on the road to play Seattle.
Right. Yes.
It was 7-9. They were 7-9.
Yes. I know that's an extreme example, but it's still it's unfair if you're if you're in a weak division, you already have an advantage that your division's weak. So it's going to give you a better chance to win games. So you shouldn't get an additional advantage that you get a higher seed. That doesn't make any sense. But
and by the way, didn't the Seahawks win that game as a 7? That was the game where Marshawn jumped in the end zone, did the hold my dick thing. Remember that? He had that crazy run.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was the game.
Oh my God! Speaking of great running backs, hopefully not holding their Johnsons, or dicks, whatever. Saquon Barkley, who's had a magnificent season. I got to look up the exact numbers. Have you seen this stat?
No.
He has a chance to set the record for most rushing yards in a season, including the playoffs. I believe Terrell Davis holds the record. I'm going to bring it up right now. Okay, here it is.
What's TD from? Was it 99 season? Terrell
98.
Davis?
But yeah, 98. He was. I mean, that whole stretch of time, he was incredible. So that year, including the playoffs, Terrell Davis rushed for 2,476 yards, which is just crazy. Saquon Barkley has, let's see, what does he have? Okay. Oh, wait a second. Terrell Davis is 1 and 2 on the list. He has 2,476 in 98, 2,331 in 97. It's just not, I mean, 2 years in a row combined for over 4,800 yards, just rushing. Saquon has 23-29, so he needs 148 yards to top Terrell Davis's record. He could do that against Washington. If they win, he's definitely going to do it by the Super Bowl. What a magnificent season he has had. Oh, my God.
It has been so good to see him have this great year. And it's cool to see him in Philly. You know, I mean, there's a lot of fans there that are Penn State fans too.
Yep.
And you know, he's just done great. And obviously for like New York didn't show him the love.
Nope.
Philly showing them the love. And Philly shows nobody love, by the way. They showed nobody love.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If he fumbles in the Super Bowl, that love will go away in a hurry.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
Philly.
Hey, by the way, what are you hearing on this Philly game? Because I was watching this morning, and it sounds like Jalen Hurts is really banged up, man.
Well, I mean, he is. He's been banged up for a number of weeks. He's played through it. He's been up and down.
But last week he got worse.
Yeah.
And like this again, I'm all about watching games in the snow. It looks really cool on TV. But if that game is not a snow game, I'm telling you, the Eagles aren't winning that game.
They probably would have lost. You're right. Now I'm assuming you're expecting him to play here at Bet Rivers. I think we have the lineup, right? 6.
Yeah, as of now, the line is anticipating him playing,
right? Because they would. I mean,
but I got to tell you, man, if and again, this is like what the Commanders can do well.
Yeah,
and we kind of talked about this on the show earlier this week. It's like, they're not a great defense, but they're a good defense who's gotten better. And if this Philly offense is one-dimensional, where they can just stack the box and take away Saquon Barkley, and there's no mobility from Jalen Hurts, it's going to be a real problem for Philadelphia.
No doubt.
Game. And I could easily see the Commanders taking on my Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl.
Well, I'm sure everybody in Buffalo would like that because they'd be favored. Although they'd be favored over the Eagles too, right? I think we had look-ahead lines. Let me look. Yeah, we do. Here are the look-ahead lines for the Super Bowl. Chiefs-Eagles, Chiefs by 1.5. Chiefs-Commanders, Chiefs by 4.5. Bills-Commanders, Bills by 4.5. Bills-Eagles, Bills by 1. That's the line as of now. Obviously, things could change. I'm leaning towards going with the Commanders either way. So I think they'll cover. I think it's going to be a close game. I'd be surprised if Philly won big. They could win by 7 and cover, but right now I'm leaning Commanders +6. Where are you?
I mean, I'm taking the Commanders money line.
Oh, you are.
My bank account most likely will be Sunday on a 2-team parlay that will include plus money for both the Commanders money line and the Bills money line, and that's a juicy number.
Yeah, I mean, if you're betting the Bills, you might as well bet the money line, right? Because
dude, I'm not watching the game.
Lose by 1 point, but
well, it's what? It's a 1-point spread.
It's 2 now. We have it at 2. Yeah.
I'm not watching the game. I wouldn't be happy if you're always happy to win money, but I wouldn't be too happy if the Bills covered the spread and lost the game by 1 point.
Right. I think everybody in America wants the Bills to win outside of Kansas City.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
I was this is about an hour ago. I got home and I thought our trash was coming on Friday because the holiday on Monday.
Yeah.
And it came today. And I didn't have the trash outside. And so I run. Trust me, the story does have a point. And so I'm like. I said to the trash guy, I'm like, dude, hey, can I get my trash out here?
Yeah.
You know, because I'm like, we're huge Bills fans and Buckeye fans, and we've had like 3 parties this weekend. So I've all this excess trash that I need to get rid of.
Right.
And he's like, oh, yeah, man, no worries. And then he said to me, he's like, dude, the Bills got to win. We're pulling for the Bills. So I hear that all the time from people, especially in this area here in Northeast Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was rooting for the Lions and the Bills.
Yeah, I was rooting for the Lions too. Absolutely. I'm rooting for the Commanders to beat the Eagles.
Yep.
I'm rooting for Buffalo to win it all. If Buffalo does lose to Kansas City, I will root for whoever wins the NFC. But to me, the winner of the AFC Championship is going to win the Super Bowl, I think most likely.
Will you come to our big Super Bowl party if the Bills are playing?
Yeah, I feel like I should. That'd be fun.
You haven't come to it, have you? The big Tamarius party?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'll get you the info. I'll get you the details.
I want an invite on that.
Yeah.
But
bring Aaron.
I will. But there'll be food there, so he'll be into it. Me too. Yeah, the Bills are. It's funny because when Kansas City first got good with Mahomes, everybody was rooting for Kansas City because we wanted them to take down Brady. And now we're all sick of Mahomes. We're all sick of, all the Kelsey. We love the Kelsey brothers because they're from here, but we're kind of sick of them too in a way. And so you want them to go down. And the Bills, like the Browns, like the Lions, have been a suffering fan base. Obviously, the Bills have been overall a better franchise than the Browns have, but they, they've fallen short in their 4 straight Super. I mean, they go to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row. I mean, just unbelievable. But yeah, everybody's rooting for the Bills.
You have to.
How good are you feeling about it?
I feel very good about it, especially because I watched the Chiefs not just last week, but I've watched them a ton this year. In fact, I was in Buffalo. We went to the Bills-Chiefs game back in, was it like November or December? I don't remember exactly when it was, but we went, and it was so much fun to watch them take out the Chiefs. Now, granted, it was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
But if you remember last year, the Bills lost at home in the playoffs to the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's and I was at that game, by the way. So that was a tough one to swallow. So I will this weekend not making any treks. I'm going to be on my couch. I'm going to have a fire in the fireplace, and I'm just going to sit there. And we'll be having another party. Thank God the trash got picked up, so we can have another party this weekend.
There you go.
And we'll be locked in.
I've heard a lot of people say stupid things about this matchup. Keyshawn Johnson said Josh Allen can't beat the Chiefs, which, okay, listen, in the playoffs, they're 3-0 against them. I get what he's saying to a degree, but he said that Josh Allen has not played well against the Chiefs. That's not true. Josh Allen has 10 total touchdowns and 1 turnover against the Chiefs in the 3 playoff games. He didn't put up big yardage last year, but we all remember the year that they were going back and forth, that crazy game, and that they lost. I don't remember what the final score was of that nutty game when the Chiefs scored in like 10 seconds. That had nothing to do with Josh Allen. Josh Allen has played, contrary to popular belief, for the most part, he has played great in the playoffs, but at times, not good enough, and at times, the defense has let him down.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Josh Allen is, because he's so athletically gifted and a gunslinger and really good at improvising a lot of times. He's going to make some mistakes at times, but for the most part, man, he has been so lights out, and I think it's their time. I really do think it's time for some new blood. And what would be really cool is, I know you remember this game really well, the '92 Super Bowl the Bills lost to the Washington Redskins. Now the Commanders. Was the game that was the game, the Christie kick, right? I believe.
No. He missed. Not Christie. Oh my God.
Oh, not Christie. Who was it? What was the guy's name? Oh,
Scott Norwood.
Scott Norwood.
Yeah.
Norwood. No, that was. Yes, you're right. Sorry. So that would be cool to get some redemption there. But
yeah, well, that was the one Super Bowl they were. I mean, the others, they got their ass kicked in the other Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But that was the game. But that would be an interesting way to win it yet again. And I don't know if we've ever had a rookie quarterback in the Super Bowl. That I can recall. It'd be pretty amazing if Jaden Daniels was able to get there as a rookie. But anyway,
has there ever been a rookie?
Not that I can recall. Maybe Google it. You gotta say, but no rookie has ever started a Super Bowl. Oh, did Brock Purdy come in?
Did he play?
I think he played. Wasn't that? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank, but no rookies ever started. I just got it. No rookies ever started a Super Bowl, but there may have been somebody coming. But that's a big difference, starting a Super Bowl or not. But we'll see. Yeah. He's got to get there first, and obviously Philly won't be easy, even if Jalen Hurts is banged up. Let's wrap things up with the Cavs here for a few minutes. What a brutal ending to that game last night. I mean, they come back down big. They go up by 6. Van Vliet hits the threes to tie it. And then Darius, who's been amazing this year, super clutch. His clutch numbers, late game situations, are through the roof. But, man, he misses those 2 free throws, and then Donovan can't hit that final shot. I know it's one regular season game. It's not the end of the world. But that was a bummer, the way they made that comeback and then lose at the end.
Well, you now remember Sengun's name and who he is?
I'll tell you something. First of all, I still don't understand how that's not a personal flagrant foul. He just shoved. Yeah, are you allowed to? You're not allowed to do that, are you? I don't understand. They go to the replay. He shoves Jared Allen to the ground. Sengun, man, I'll tell you though. What did you think of that? Did you think there should have been a foul? Right? Shouldn't there? Or am I crazy?
Yes. Yeah. No. I think you're right. I think you're right.
But here's the thing that worries me.
I'm just bringing it up because I just brought that up because we were talking about all the players we didn't know in the Rockets yesterday, and he's like the one that is actually he's going to be a really good player. Already is a really good player.
Damn.
And he had a nice night last night.
You know, what's the thing that stood out to me in this game? Like the Rockets have to be one of, if not the most physical team in the league, and obviously Mobley wasn't there, and he's been their best player, really, or certainly their best front court player. But the Cavs, Allen and Dean Wade got manhandled. Like, what's his name? The kid, who's the other big kid that was defending Donovan Mitchell down the stretch that they got? I can't think of his name. Anderson?
Oh, Eason?
No, Eason's. But this other kid got 16 rebounds for them. I'm trying to blank on his name. But they were just.
Oh, that was Thompson.
Yeah,
Thompson.
That guy's a hell of a player. He's a great athlete.
Yeah.
They're physical, and the Cavs still have. We saw it last year. Like, I still have some concern about them against physical teams, like being tough enough to handle that. I don't know what you think on that.
That was a bit of a concern I had last year with this team. I thought they had gotten tougher as they have gone through this year.
Yeah.
But you're right about last night. Now, no Mobley, so we didn't have all of our horses. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. What I said this earlier today too. Without Evan Mobley, the Cavs ain't winning anything. That's how important he's become to this team.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
Hopefully this calf strain doesn't turn into a big deal, because that could be an injury, as you would know as well as anybody, that can nag for a while. No.
Oh yeah, dude. The muscle injuries are no joke, and we're at a point here in the season. It's the end of January. We have time, and the All-Star break's coming up just in a few weeks here. So I would totally do everything in my power from the Cavaliers to make sure that Evan Mobley comes through this and don't rush. There's no need to rush him back. No. They've given themselves a huge lead, a head start, if you will, on the seeding for the postseason. So much to the point where I think the Celtics realize they don't even have a chance at the number one seed.
I think you're right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I would wait till he feels 110%. And then I'd wait 2 more weeks. I'm just not messing with that, because let's say they bring him back in, the middle of February, and then he tweaks it again. Well, now maybe he doesn't come back till just before the playoffs, and now he's missed 4 months or 3 months, whatever it is.
Right.
They have to be super careful with him, because they're not. They might win early in the playoffs. They're not beating the Knicks or the Celtics without Evan Mobley. No shot.
No chance. And the team has developed this chemistry with Mobley's new game.
Right.
So when he's out of the lineup, it really forces them to not play their style, their brand of basketball.
That's right. It's a good point, because late in the game, it was a lot of last year type of stuff, like pick and roll, everybody stand around while Darius and Donovan does something. And they've been at their best when they're moving the ball. Guys are moving without the ball, and you're working towards the best shot. The Cavs, in those final couple of minutes, they didn't get a lot of good shots. So, neat, But again, as you said, no rushing him back. They see the upcoming schedule. They play at the Sixers tomorrow. Try to get revenge against the Rockets Saturday at home. JB comes to town with the Pistons on Monday, and then at Miami. I wanted to run this by you before we go. Today, we had a guest on UCSS. You weren't on today, but Mikey McNuggets brought up the possibility at the buyout market of the Cavs bringing it back Kevin Love as front court depth. What do you think of that? On like a buy, they buy him out.
Yeah, fine, totally. I mean, does he still
boards.
have anything left in the tank? Sure.
He's playing 13 minutes a night,
so he can get some rebounds. He obviously can still shoot, and he's a champ. He's a champion, man.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah. Final thing, the Guardian signed Paul Sewald to a 1-year, $7 million contract with a option for a second year. My guy Mike Ferrin from MLB Radio suggested that this could be the precursor to the Guardians maybe trading one of their big-time bullpen names for a hitter. So keep an eye on that. That could be something interesting coming up in the future. All right, everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. I'm with. I think we're both on the same page. We're both taking Buffalo and Washington. I'm not as convinced as you are that Washington's going to win. I feel like it's going to be a field goal game either way. But to get off the fence, I'll be with you. I'll take the Commanders to win also. And hopefully we get a Buffalo Commanders Super Bowl. Everybody have a great weekend. Be safe. Have fun. And we'll talk to you next week. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Bull and Fox and Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.